Tiny Tarot. Hey, hey, what have you got to say today? Ooh, and today, I'm just going to get right into it. Guess what? It's the love episode. And I'm so glad that this is the love episode because we're in February. And whenever you see this, it will either resonate with you or not resonate with you, but it is timeless. So at the time that we are recording it, we're getting into the February Valentine's vibe. Everything in the store has hearts on it. I'm wearing red. And as we talked about in the last episode, episode 8, which was about finances, that a lot of reads online tend to skew towards romance or finance or romance. So we're just taking care of that right out of the gate. Episode 8 was about money. Episode 9, feeling fine, Valentine. Ooh, this is working out so perfect. What is the deal? Well, it's Tiny Tarot, and it tends to go that way. So I am Low-Key Magical with a K, and I am here with the podcast master, Earl. Earl, how are you today?
I'm wonderful today. Thank you.
Wonderful. This is the perfect time. I wore red. I tuned in. We've been having the conversation about love and romance and people in your life that you really cared about, that you care about now, that you are tied to with your heart, whether they're in your life right at the moment or they've passed. It just seems like you have that love in your heart. You have that connection. It's there all the time. But we want to know where tomorrow's love is going to come from. And even those of you that are already in a relationship, how do we make that relationship as awesome as possible? How do we make ourselves the best selves as we come to the relationship that we have or as we seek a new relationship? Ooh, thank you, Tiny Tarot. That's a nice way to put that. So this is episode 9, Feeling Fine, Valentine. And we're going to ask Tiny Tarot, and let me say this real quick, like, I think that's something that Southern people say, and I'm Southern, by the way, if you haven't heard that in my voice. Listen to yourself. If you ever do a podcast, listen to yourself and just hear how you pick that apart. I say, and I go, and this and that. And I say natural. That comes out of me a lot. That's okay. Just enjoy that. Just enjoy that Southern part of my delicious voice. All right. So what were we determining before? This is the love episode. And this is the way that I communicate with a channeling spirit, kind of an aggregate spirit that I call collective knowledge. And it's through this sassy little deck of tarot cards that I have, Tiny Tarot. And if you hear this and it resonates with you, that's fantastic. If it does not, leave it. This is not a substitute for therapy. This is more of a conversation with a friend that knows you really well. So if you hear it and you like it, then take some lessons with you. If you hear it, you don't like it, then you can just move on. That's awesome. Tiny Tarot says you like it, then stick around because we got more. Whoop, whoop. All right, so this one is all about the love. I started singing the Love Boat theme. The Love Boat. Promising something for everyone. All right, maybe not everyone. So we're going to split this deck. Tiny Tarot, tell us how to be our best selves, to foster the best relationship that we can have. Tell us how to be our best selves so that we can attract the right relationship. And tell us, like, if we've got an active something going on right now, what's up with that? That's a lot of questions, Tiny Tarot says. Well, hey, guess what? It's all about love. So we're going to talk about love today. And Earl, I would like for you to choose. I have split this deck into 3 even piles. Please intuitively choose deck 1, 2, or 3.
I'm going to go with 1 for a change.
Oh, deck 1. For some reason,
Yes.
I got all,
Deck 1.
la, 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 la. Welcome to deck 1 of the Love Boat. I hope the bar's on deck 1 because that's where I'm headed, is the bar. Oh,
Has anybody
yay.
seen that gopher?
Oh, gopher. Man, we are showing our age,
And
aren't
that
we?
lady that
The
snorts
Love
all that
Boat is
cocaine?
probably available to stream if you'd like to take some of the Love Boat. Well, fantastic. The first thing that we start with, how do we become our best selves? How about dumping that negative thought process that you've got going on about love and romance? How about that? That's the first thing that Tiny Tarot comes out with. This is the 10 of Swords, and this is the end of a cycle of incredibly negative self-talk. Or just incredibly negative thinking, period. The swords represent our words and our thoughts. How do you think and how do you speak about your current loved one? How do you think and how do you speak about the loved one that you are hoping to attract? And I did it right there. I did it. And if you are stuck in a cycle of negative thought about previous failed love attempts, let's say that you had a relationship and your last relationship ended poorly, and you've done some internal work and you've determined that you've had several relationships that have ended poorly, and you have decided, well, I'm the common denominator in all of these failed relationships. Maybe there's something wrong with me. And you begin to over-pick, over-criticize, over-compensate, trying to, again, referencing previous episodes about shadow work, going through and taking out those parts of yourself that you deem not worthy of love and throwing them into the closet. So now you're meeting a new person and you're not even coming to them as your full self because you're trying to fit a mold that you think they might want. That's not 100% you. That's you having a conversation, but having this constant background noise. I'm not good enough. Is he gonna like this? Is she gonna do this? And this is gonna break my heart just like last time. This is exactly what happened before and it's gonna happen again. You're resonating with that. You're not gonna come at anything as your best self. But what this is saying is this is the end of that for you. And this is the only time, swords energy, we determined that one time we were going through the whole suit of swords, and it's really hard to find a positive sword card, seriously, because we torture ourselves so much up here, and we misuse our language. We cast spells with the things that come out of our mouth, and then we say, why doesn't anything change? Well, this is saying change is absolutely possible. One, because we're at the end of that cycle, and two, it's absolutely necessary. If you really do want to attract, or you really do want to experience the kind of relationship that you know in your heart is possible. You absolutely know in your heart is possible. But when you are quite literally holding up swords in front of yourself because of past pains and past regrets, past heartache, what love can come through that? Seriously. So this is the first thing that I feel like that was one of those smacks for Tiny Tarot's like, really, you want love? How about you drop in some of that bullshit that you've been holding on to for so long about your story, about your heartache story? And oh, please, right now I feel it. I know that there's heartache there. I've had my heart broken. I've been filleted to the bone like we've talked about. Ugh. It's awful. But if I choose to dwell there, I'm just going to attract more of that. And there are energies out there, King of Swords in reverse. I love how now I'm talking like talking in tarot hieroglyphs that are narcissistic. Let's just get to that. There are those energies out there, King of Swords in reverse types, that are narcissistic and can recognize those wounds and can use those wounds to their advantage. And there's a part of us that gets scared of that because now we've experienced that a few times. We've come to the world with a wounded heart and said, all I want is love. And there was someone that said, yes, yes, yes. I see that wound and I can use it to my advantage. And suddenly you're in the net before you even realized a net was there. And you find yourself once again brokenhearted and saying, oh, I don't want to experience that again. And then you come back out into the world and fear being caught in another net. Love becomes a net for you. Ooh. All right, Tiny Tarot. Oh, my goodness sakes. Well, 10 of Pentacles. All right. Wow. Here's the thing. Not only is it necessary for you to change your thought process, but when you do, there is a huge shift in energy. The pentacles represent the things that are comfortable to us in the world. Money, of course, they represent money, but everything that's valuable and that we've worked towards, our home. And sometimes we fear losing this. There's a part of us that knows that that's part of what we're moving towards with love. We want that household. We want that wealth, that deep enduring wealth that comes with this 10 of Pentacles. There's more than just love when you remove this from yourself. Yes, that's what we're looking for in this one. But wow, this 10 of Pentacles says there's also a richness to life that this is hurting my heart a little bit. There's a richness to life that you're missing out on when you're living within this. Not only are you bouncing love away from yourself, but you're bouncing off this deep wealth and enjoyment of the richness of life that you deserve. This is one of those inherited wealth kinds of cards. This is something that a deep connection to life itself that's being held from you by this dark cloud umbrella that you've decided to put there because for some reason, running in the back of your head, I am undeserving. I just have the same things happen to me over and over again. I really don't trust that the next person that comes to me and says, I love you, can really love me, because it's probably just another worm on a hook, and I'm gonna find myself hurting again. Like, you're not only missing out on, it's love and it's you're not allowing yourself to really, that inherited richness of experience that you're holding away from yourself when you do that is much more than just romantic love. So even if you're in a relationship and you're having trouble really being your full self with your partner because of all of this noise that's going on back here, and to you, you might say, all right, well, honey, when I feel that way, I just kind of withdraw from you. I don't want you to feel my pain. And he doesn't understand, or she doesn't understand why sometimes you're standoffish, and it's because this noise that's in your head becomes so loud that you almost, you literally put the cloud up to them and their love and their affection, because you think that you're shielding them from your pain, but to them, you're shielding yourself from the love that they're trying to provide to you, for that comfort, for that deep. This is the whole reason that we do what we do in the world, is to feel this. This is family. This is like, most of the time this is inherited wealth, but to me this is family and home and hearth, and that comfort that you have from those that are around you and everything that you've built. And if you hold yourself apart with this negative constant internal pain dialogue, then you hold yourself apart from not just individual love, but from the comfort of life that you have built. This goes a little, of course, Tiny Tarot is going just a little bit deeper than it usually does. And here we have, here we have exactly what we talked about, this King of Swords. This has been a big reason why a lot of us feel that the heart has been filleted to the point that you just don't even want to set it up for possible damage anymore, because you've had this King of Swords is going to go both ways for us, okay? This is exactly what we were talking about. The King of Swords in reverse is that narcissistic behavior. And this is a male in the card because it is a more of a forceful energy, okay? Not because it necessarily has to be a male. This can present in your life as male or female. But when you have come across this energy, and this is someone that is very good at using their words and very good at using thought, quote, thought manipulation to, again, you're wiggling in a net before you even realized that there was a net. And it's an energy that can recognize wounds, and it's an energy that can, recognize what they may consider a weakness. We're empathic and we have soft hearts and we want to do good things, but they see that as, here, and especially if you're fearful about things, boy, they see that and it's just like prey. All right. But when we turn this energy around, we realize that this energy is actually us. This is how we want to express ourselves. This is someone who understands their own thought process and says, all right, I am not someone that can be manipulated. And And there it is again. And I am someone who is letting go of this self. I am not enough. I am not worthy of love. All I do is run over all the previous times that I've been wounded in my head over and over again. I'm just going to decide that I'm too old. I'm not good enough. This is the end of that. We're dropping that. And we don't have to drop that and go, all right, maybe one sword is removed, maybe two swords are removed. No, this is when all the swords are removed from your back. And then you pick up the sword that you choose, which is your new thought process, and you say, all right, things are going to be different from here on out. I am in control of the things that come out of my mouth, which are now going to be in support of myself. I am no longer shit talking myself. Tiny Tarot is just coming out and saying that. Stop. I was reading a couple of friends the other day. We were talking about what does whole and healthy look like, and one of them looked at the other one and said, when we're whole and healthy, what are we going to talk about? Because all we talk about is what's wrong in our lives. And I said, that's something that needs to stop. Do you think whole and healthy people that have great love lives sit around going, oh, I'm miserable? I'm sure they may have something else to be miserable about, but they're not constantly, right? That's one of those habits that we have to change. And that's very King of Swords. If you have a friend that you like to sit and talk about misery with, and you become the friend that says, hey, guess what? Today we're not talking about misery. And someone says, yeah, but I got this, my husband did this thing, and my kids did this thing. And you have to go, I'm sorry, but today we're going to talk about all the things that are going well, because I'm going to take a hold of this like a King of Swords, and we're going to change what we say and how we think so that we don't keep creating the same thing over and over. So if you are looking for love and you are trying to improve your relationship, stop shit talking it, all right? Stop dissing people that you see that are in love. Stop getting down on your friends that, why are you so, you're so attached to him? Why do you love him so much? Really? Are you trying to find love? Then don't make fun of your friends that are in love. Or don't make fun of the people that are married. If you want a really good, solid relationship. And don't participate when someone is shit talking their spouse. Shut that down right away. Really? You're married to him. You made the choice. Live with it. Do something or live with it. I'm tired of hearing this, and walk away. There's no reason why you can't do that. Those are very King of Swords moments. When you refuse to let yourself dip into the energy of, yeah, I want love, but I'm gonna talk about how awful it is. I'm gonna talk about how awful men/women are. I'm gonna talk about how choosy I am. I'm gonna talk about how there's no good men out there anymore. I'm going to talk about how, well, there's never any way I could ever trust anybody again in my life. And yet you want love. And the opposite of that is true. If you're just constantly, I'm so wounded that I can't even take one more opportunity. So you go into that hermit mode where you close that off. And you know what? That's okay for a while. That's absolutely okay for a while. We all have to recover. If your last relationship especially was a powerful negative King of Swords and that caused a lot of wounds for you, bless you. I understand that. But it is absolutely possible to nurture yourself through that and bring your light back out into the world. That's what the hermit says. It's okay to go into hermit mode. It's okay to work on nurturing that heart. But when we do that, the importance of that is to then bring that, excuse me. Let me say, when I'm channeling, I tend to get a little, we talked about this before, my throat chakra gets a little tight because Tiny Tarot says, just relax and trust in the message. All right. Within hermit mode, we take some time to relax. We take some time to heal. We take some time to reflect and learn lessons from what has just happened to us, not to beat ourselves up. We don't go into hermit mode just to go, this is why I'm worthless. This is why I'm nothing. This is why I don't deserve love. I'm just going to fall into a hole and cry over it. Do your crying, but understand we pull those swords out. Okay, we pull those swords out. We choose the ones that work for us, and we take some time to heal. Absolutely, we take the time to heal. But then see the light that's within his little lantern there. We take that light and we move it back out into the world. taking the understanding from the previous experience, taking what's good and leaving the rest, taking what resonates. What did I learn from that? Well, I learned much better how to recognize this behavior. Okay? Not necessarily that I have now determined myself as prey from now on. And that's one of those things that we do that's very, very negative about ourselves. Well, I guess I'm just the kind of person that gets taken advantage of. I guess I'm just the kind of person that's always going to get their heart broken. I guess I'm the doe-eyed little, I don't even know. No, that's not. Yes, now you know how to recognize this. How do you bounce something like this off of you? You become this. It's really that determined. Narcissists are not attracted to this. Narcissists are more attracted to, the doe-eyed, wounded, fearful, whoever you are, male or female. And I'm not saying that physically you're actually that. I'm talking about the energy, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. They really know how to hone in on that. They are repelled by this. Someone that is strong, someone that already has, I already know what my priorities are. I already know what my goals are. I'm not asking for someone to come and solve all of my problems, right? I know that I'm worthy. I know that I'm not overinflated. I know that I'm all that and I deserve all right, well, show me how you're all that. The king can back that up. The king is not all talk and no action, okay? The king just knows that what comes out of here is very important, and what's going on up in here is very important. And well, the next card is temperance. That's what we're talking about. It's not an egotistical process. And temperance, let's look at temperance for a moment. This is a beautiful card, and it's very balanced, and there are 2 cups. And the cups, we know, represent our heart and how our heart holds the water that is our emotions. And look at temperance. There's water being poured from one cup to another. There's perfect balance there. It's not, I'm needy, and it's not, I'm so much that I don't need you, okay? It's not needy, and it's not too, it's absolutely balanced. It's not that I am reaching out desperately for love, and it's not, well, guess what? I don't need your love. Like there's a balance in between there. I want to say not too needy and not too givey. Like, you understand, there are people that are such givers that they give of themselves until there's nothing left. And then they become that needy. It's a constant back and forth with them. And temperance tells us obviously there's a balance to that. You've got to cool that. You've got to cool the attitude. Ooh, okay, so we're going back to the you've got to temper that attitude, because I've seen people come out of almost with a chip on their shoulder. I've personally met quite a few people that have just been filleted to the bone so many times that they come out of it with an absolute chip on their shoulder. I don't need a partner. I don't need a man. I don't need this, and I don't need that. I am fully self-sufficient. And that's great. But there's also an energy to that that's going to repel the kind of partner that you're actually looking for. There is a way to balance that, where maybe in the past you have experienced being the partner that had to carry all of the weight. And so from now on, you just kind of expect that. And you've become incredibly self-sufficient because of that. And that's wonderful. But you have to make room for love in your life. One of those cups has got to be it's got to have a little room in it so that you can do that back and forth. And that's wonderful. If you have achieved amazing things on your own as a single person, rebounding from something awful that you had to go through with your heart, wonderful. But if you have a huge chip on your shoulder about it, if it kind of becomes unnecessarily this sort of energy that becomes repellent of the energy that you're trying to bring in. Okay? You want another strong partner that can be balanced and even and come to life. You know, we take on things together. That's what you want in romance. But if you have become this, either angry or a little egotistical and having that chip on your shoulder and that going, why can't I attract love? Because you've got to soften that up a little bit. You've got to empty one of those cups a little bit and allow something new to flow into it. That is a great move that I've got going on right there. But that is temperance. That's what it says. Allow that flow back and forth. And what else is temperance about? If you've ever cooked and you have, like, I don't know, hot eggs or, oh, that's it, eggs, like going into hot liquid, you have to temper that as it goes, okay? And that means not going too hot too quick and not going too cold too quick. And how many times in romances have we messed that up by either going too hot and heavy too quick or making a judgment call because, no, I don't know, things that didn't feel right. I didn't like his shoes. Like you have temperance also says, understand that you're enough. Understand that you're coming to it with kind of a different set. Once you've changed this mindset, this King of Swords, just, it seems really important in this read. You know, once you've encountered, you get gun shy. That's kind of the word that Tiny Tarot is looking for. You either get gun shy or you get a chip on your shoulder. And you've got to come to temperance. You've got to come in between that. Thank you, Tiny Tarot, for helping me to clarify that a little bit. You either get gun shy or you get a chip on your shoulder. And you've got to figure out that middle ground that puts you in the place of, I am satisfied with who I am, but I am also open and ready for love. Understanding, okay, this has been injured before, so we don't have to go, that's it. We don't have to be as defensive as we were before. This is the Seven of Wands. It's okay to be a little bit softer. This is a very, very defensive energy. And that's, again, in times that we've been hurt before. This makes complete sense. The wands are the work that we do in the world. And the Seven of Wands can be read a couple of different ways. And one of them is it's being defensive, like having to defend your stance. It could be having to defend while you're still single, or having to defend, well, you're complaining about your marriage all the time. Why are you having to defend that? Or having to, what you feel like is having to defend a wounded heart. And that's something that you can let go of. And what's funny is the more confidence that you bring to the process, the less necessity there is to defend. The energy of confidence and love allows you to come to things and not, you can literally let your defenses down. The thought process is that because of previous injuries, I must put my defenses up or I will be hurt again. And when you come to the energy with that sort of defensive, again, chip on your shoulder or wounded, you're going to attract, when you come to it with that same thing, you're going to continue to, the devil. Oh gosh, how many of these devils are we going to pull out? I mean, honestly, how many? You're going to come to the same, you're going to be winding up chained to the same stuff that you were before. And that's what we're letting go of. Let's look at the devil for a second. So there is a man and woman coming to it naked, just coming to it straight up naked. And they are chained to a block, and they're facing away, and the devil is sitting at the top of the block. And this is anything that you feel like has gotten a little out of hand. So when we talk about this defensive stance, that's exactly it. This was, maybe in some cases it's a job that you let get a little bit out of hand that you thought was wonderful at first, but then it wound up eating up all your time. Or once again, a relationship. Oh Lord, a relationship with someone that got a little bit out of hand. Okay. I went in full because that's the way that I go. I went in full with my heart because that's the way that I love. And guess what? It turned out not to be what I thought it was. It turned out to be compromise after compromise. And now because of that, I have put up walls. I'm either super wounded or I'm super defensive, and I just don't feel like I have what it takes to pull that back into my life. But absolutely you do. That's what Tiny Tarot is saying. Cool that off. Just cool that off. It's all right to cool that off. You don't have to be either one of those things. You can allow those cups to be equally full, and the love can return like that empty. Neither of those cups has to be empty. You don't have to feel like that love isn't yours. You don't have to feel like it's just not going to be for me. No. Tiny Tarot says what you do is you really do understand what you had chained yourself to. Understand it. And that there were maybe energies at play that were bigger than what you understood. And guess what? Whoops, I was tangled in the net. Like, this is literally, whoops, I'm tangled in the net. But all you have to do is turn around and look that in the eye, and you realize not as big and bad and scary as you thought. Okay? We take those previous wounds. We take those previous wounds and we dwell on them. It's almost like picking at a scab. How's that ever going to heal? How's that ever going to heal if you're just running that over and over and over in your mind and letting it dictate how you feel going into tomorrow? Don't. This is where we drop that. This is where we allow it to heal, but we come out of hermit mode. We bring our light into the rest of the world. We no longer have to be defensive, okay? We no longer have to be defensive when we go out into the world, because we are tempering. We're tempering our thoughts. We're tempering our heart. We're opening up our mind to knowing that love is always there for us, and that the words and what we have up here and what supports it with what comes out of here is going to be loving. It's going to be drawing what I want in. It's going to be open to relationship. It's going to be open and listening, not just talk. Boy, that's the king too. Ooh, I just got that. That's the king too. The king also knows when to close his mouth. The king knows when listening is important as well. He doesn't always just have to dictate. He listens as well. And that's part of temperance also. Okay. So, oh my gosh. So this is Valentine. This is the, here's what we've got from Tiny Tarot so far. So we're at the end of a cycle of painful inner thought. And that's great, because this has been shielding us not only from the love that we're looking for, but so much of the richness of life, period. This is just important. And I think this Ten of Swords has been coming up a lot, like in individual reads. Dropping the negative thought process and the negative words that support that is so important, because not only is it keeping what you're talking about in this read, but it's keeping so much richness of life from you. And if you have been hurt before, spending time in hermit mode and saying love is just not for me right now is completely okay. For a while, it's okay to foster that light and understand and heal the wounds and think about what you learned. That's wonderful. But the point is to now move that back out into the world, because love is there for you. Love is there for you. It's okay to feel like you've got your defenses up over it, but at some point you've got to re-foster that confidence and that negative thought process, re-foster that confidence as you move out into the world. And you move out into the world now with confidence, not in fear, not I have to be defensive because I am now in fear of this energy taking a hold of me again. It's more, I now move out into the world confident. I can easily recognize when that behavior is coming towards me, because I'm solid in my thought. I know that I'm enough. I know that it wasn't my weakness that brought that to me. It's just what I was vibrating at the time. I can forgive myself for having that heartache. I can forgive myself for going through that. Okay? That's another like shadow work coming in. And here we go. This is what you're forgiving yourself. I can forgive myself for being tied to the devil for a while. Just say it. I can forgive myself for that. I didn't want to look in the eye and see what I was really tied to. And it turned out not to be what I thought it was. And I had to look it in the eye and say, okay, that's enough. I had to do that. Ouch. But now I know, after a little time, this supports the King of Swords. After a little time of the dip, why do we have the force change perspective? So that we can gain enlightenment before we take the next step. That's exactly it. Okay? Why do we have that time that we take hermit time? So that we can have a little bit of, how can I see this differently before I move on? How are you going to see this differently before you move on? Are you wanting to attract romance? Are you wanting to improve your relationship right now? How do you do that? There's going to be I'm going to ask Tiny Tarot for 2 cards, okay? So how do we understand how to make our existing relationships as positive as possible, and how to attract, right? These are the last 2. We're going to say bam, bam. Okay, and here's what we've got. First of all, let go of anxiety. Let go about the worrying about it. This is the moon, and it's the things that you can't see. Ooh, and then we have, all right, the 5 of Swords, and this is when, always wanting to be right. So this is, someone has cheated on me before, so I'm just going to assume that every guy's a cheater, and I'm just going to, from the get-go, I'm never going to trust him, okay? Or this is just all of those times that you are just messing up because either A, you have to always be right, or B, you are so anxious and worried all the time that you're bouncing yourself into the wrong energy. Tiny Tarot. All right. So the first one is let go of anxiety. And the second one is don't prepare yourself for fights. Do not imagine arguments that are going to take place. Don't expect it to be rough. This is the whole, I was right, but at what cost? Like I lost another sword. This is how we think about things. Always wanting to be right. Other person is always wrong. Being right, but again, at what cost? And a lot of times this comes from because we come right into the relationship with anxiety right away. This is going to go bad because it's always gone bad before. Oh my God, my heart was broken before, so it's going to be bad again. And this is also, this is one of those preemptive strikes. Guess what? I felt like maybe it was going sideways. I didn't give it time, and I ended the relationship because I don't like being the one that gets broken up with. Oh, who's done that? I know a few people out there that have. So Tiny Tarot says, first of all, let go of the anxiety. There's just going to be some things that you don't know about, but you are smarter than you were before. You have learned from this entire process. You are going to be the King of Swords, okay? And that doesn't mean that you have a chip on your shoulder, and that doesn't mean that you are, coming at it wounded. You're coming at it as, this is my whole self. I've done my shadow work. I've spent my hermit time. Okay, I fostered my light. I'm moving it back out into the world, and I'm going to be my full, confident, enough self, because that's what I want to attract. I don't want to attract someone needy, and I don't want to attract a bully. I want to attract someone who's got their shit together. And how do I do that? I have my shit together, right? And I think about how together I am. And I talk about how together I am. I am a catch. And why am I a catch? For the following reasons. I fought off a devil. All right, I've come through it. I have a good reason. I have good reason for who I am and how strong I am and how much I know and what a catch I am, because I've been through it. Now, I also know when it's time to drop what I have been through. I do not have to keep carrying this forward into my everyday. I can learn that that is the end of this process. Yes, I fought a devil. Yes, it changed who I am. It made me spend some time alone in deep thought. It made me realize what I really value in the world. And I had some enlightenment over that. Thank you very much. I know what's important to me and I know how to temper, okay? I'm taking my time. I am understanding that I give respect, I receive respect. I'm going to take the time to look for those signs that I know are there, okay? This time, if there are red flags, we're going to examine those red flags. We're going to use our words and talk. We're not just going to make compromises and compromise ourselves into a corner, correct? Because now we are the King of Swords. We don't have to worry with that negative self-talk. We're not going to get gaslighted like we were before. We are strong, okay? We're not fearful and anxious, which throws off those signals that narcissists recognize right away. We're not. We can say, when I say I trust you, I actually trust you. And if you say you trust me, I believe that you trust me. And we go from there. I'm not going to assume. But I'm also smart, right? It's not that I have to be right, but I'm not going to pre-assume that you're a cheater. I'm not going to pre-assume that you secretly, I'm just saying there's a level of both of these. Say, oh, there we go. Thank you, Tiny Tarot. Foster the trust. You have to foster the trust back into your heart. It's not that I will trust you when you show me that you are trustworthy. You have to be that trustworthy person and trust yourself again. Oh, ouch. Thank you, Tiny Tarot. You've got to learn not just, if you want to attract a trustworthy person, you have got to trust yourself again. Oh, there it is. Thank you so much for that. And part of trusting yourself again is not that constant reminder and beating yourself up over allowing yourself to get chained to the devil, okay? Just say it, Tiny Tarot. Just say it. It is okay. Because this is really what you're moving towards, what you have been holding yourself back from. Of course, this is, all the comfort things but this is that thing that you're wanting to build with someone. This is really why you put all this together. It's just it's the happy household. It's the calm and happy. This also represents like your calm and happy psyche, just that wonderful, peaceful space that you build, that people are welcome in, and that you have happy kids in and happy pets and all of those wonderful things. That's really what you're wanting with love, because it feels good. But you've got to trust in that again. You can't allow it in if you are constantly batting it away. Like you really can't. You can't let it in if you're constantly batting it away. And it's okay. It's okay if you had to fight off a devil. That completely makes sense. That's kind of what it feels like when you're extricating yourself from a really difficult relationship where you have had someone that was gaslighting you or making you, question your own thought process. Oh, that's part of the wound, is that there was a while there where you just questioned your own thought process. Can I even trust my own judgment anymore? If another person comes up to says he loves me, like, can I even believe that anymore? And you have to trust in your own heart. You have to trust in your own love radar again, really. Because what you are moving towards, what you're moving towards is worth that. I'm not saying it's worth getting your heart broken again. It's worth saying to yourself, I am strong enough to know now. I am strong enough to know what I'm worth. I'm strong enough to know that I am enough. I'm strong enough to know that I am not reaching for someone to solve all my problems. But I'm also not saying I don't need nobody. I'm right in that beautiful tempered place where I am satisfied with myself and satisfied with my life, but I am ready to make it more. Ooh. I am satisfied with myself, I am satisfied with my life, and I am ready to make it more. And I'm willing to say, now I trust in my own heart. I trust in my own heart. And because of that, I can attract a trustworthy heart. Absolutely. Well, thank you, Tiny Tarot. My goodness. Okay, I thought this was going to be all jaunty and like, how do you attract love? Well, I don't know, get a new hairdo, do something. But this says you really got to let go of the baggage and running that baggage over and over in your head and learning that it's okay to trust your heart. Because once you trust your own heart and trust that it can love, you know how valid your love is. My goodness, you've gone all in more than once. It's like a poker game. I feel that way. I'm ready to go all in. But that's always the way that I've loved. I go all in. I'm not messing around. And then when you realize that it's not really what you thought you had originally come into. And this can be not that always there's just one party at fault. I mean, I think that's important that they put the male and the female there. It's like participants in chaining themselves to something that was unhealthy. Participants. And there's there's two energies there. One that was one that was aware they were participating maybe, and one that was not. Haha. Okay. But then once you realize it and you have to turn around and look it in the eye and go, oh crap. Okay. I realize this is not where I need to be. Got to extricate myself from that. And you spend that time because you've got to be introspective. That makes sense. They always say, well, don't jump right from a relationship like that right into another one. Why? Because you'll do the same thing again immediately. You got to take some time, review. Where did I make those compromises that were small that suddenly turned into I had compromised so much of myself? And how do I keep myself from doing that again? Well, that's where the introspection comes in, and that's where understanding that we change our thought process and the words that come out of our mouth, so it's not so, this is all my fault and I'm trash and this is all I'm ever gonna attract over and over again. No, we're gonna let that go because we realize that there's a balance, and in being that way, we're holding off more than just love. Okay, when you are doing that, well, fine, I'll just be alone for the rest of my life because clearly I can't attract love and clearly I can't this and I can't that. You're holding off much more than just having a boyfriend or a girlfriend when you say that. You're holding off a lot of the richness of life when you do that. So understand that there's a balance to that. Whew, this just keeps coming out. But I think that biggest wrap up was, the anxiety and the trust. That's a big part of it. Learning how not to just expect the worst from relationships or from your partner. Do not expect the worst from your partner. Again, that's the words and the thoughts that just create more and more. And it's okay to not always be the partner that's right. You've got to understand that there's that temperance. You've got to understand that there's balance to that in all things. And then trust that your heart, it's loved and it will love again, first of all. And trust in your own heart in order to attract a heart that is trustworthy. Well, thank you, Tiny Tarot. This one, I felt like it was a little bit like Tiny Tarot said, all right, well, this is just not one thing. So we're just going to pull out quite a few cards, but they're all beautiful. They all worked. And all of the advice is good. So, hey, I am Low-Key Magical with a K. I have been here with Earl, the podcast master. And we can also be found not only on YouTube, but on Spotify now. I have a website on, it's Facebook, basically. And I'm also on Instagram and The Tick and The Talk. So look us up there. If you would like to, leave a comment because we love your questions and we can address those here on Tiny Tarot. But I want to say right now, hey, I am Low-Key Magical with a K. Have a magical rest of your day.